Everyone, it's Devin Francis, also known as Leonard Meltzner.
And I am future master me.
Future Master Playable Ryu.
I'm future master.
It's episode 181 of the Adventures in Odyssey Oddcast, and things are wrapping up already before I've even released the first episode of it.
Kathy wrote this one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like she had to.
But the 67 is already over. This album has already run its course. I mean, obviously it's already over because it's 2020
What?
now.
It's over. It's not like the next album started or anything like that.
Probably almost done airing, if not completely done airing already, I imagine. Yeah, but we will be wrapping up today with 67 with what, Victoria?
We got that good stuff. We got a two-parter with new ship and fuel. For me. I don't know if it's for you too.
I mean, I called it.
We both did.
I know, but I thought you were very adamantly against the idea, if I recall correctly, previously.
I think I said I wanted Jillian to be with PJ, but like...
Yeah, P-Jill.
Yeah, P-Jill. Like, this is the best thing. The thing I'm still wondering about, which I probably talked about before, is the age gap.
Yeah, so we're talking about Nightmares by Constance, both parts, and reviewing the album as a whole. So, episode 878, part 1, Nightmares by Constance, part 1, written by Kathy, like you said. What happens in part 1, Victoria?
Oh, okay.
Oh, do you need me to tell you where they separate, or you just listen to part 1?
I listened to it, but I'm just thinking I have to be like real vague
to not spoil part 2 that I haven't heard.
Yeah, it was an accident.
Yeah.
So Connie is putting on this wedding for this girl, and then the girl's, like, the lady's mom says
her what was it? Her grandma? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's her grandma.
Yeah, right, because her
parents
are dead.
Yeah.
Her grandma doesn't want her to marry the guy she's going to marry, who she's, like, super in love with. So she basically tells Connie to break up the wedding and that she'll pay her, like...
double.
Like an exorbitant amount of money to ruin their wedding. And so then they're trying to figure out, like, if the guy is sketchy or not. And that's mostly part 1. She recruits Jason to help figure things out. Jillian is her assistant now, which is amazing, because up in this house...
I miss Jillian.
We respect Jillian. We love her so much. She is so good for so many different reasons. It gives Connie another friend who is a lady, and that's always good. And also, Jillian, Jason interact. So Jillian and Jason, bless you, Kathy, in the most beautiful of fanfic tropes, pretend to be married.
Right?
And it is amazing. And, like...
Kathy's been reading my AO3 spec fics.
Kathy's out there just, like...
doing the Lord's work.
I think I've already used this comparison for her before, but it's like that picture where I don't even know what kind of animal it is. I think Avery drew the photo or whatever, where it's just like, I owe you my life. Where it's like the little guy feeding someone else. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. It's like a llama.
Yeah, that's me, with Kathy giving me Wellington content, Wellington, Eugene, Connie content at a wedding.
Yeah.
Good sibling content between Wellington and Wooten. Jillian as a character, and now Jillian and Jason shipping fodder. Which Jillian and Jason, for those of you who don't remember, they interacted a bunch in one of her first episodes. I think like her second episode or something like that. And now they're just like fake married. and it's so good, and I want them to be canon so bad. But on the other hand, we know Jillian isn't a Christian, so it'll just be like a complete redo of everything with Tasha. But like I will say, Jillian is so different from Tasha in like every way. But she like would make such a good spy partner for Jason.
Okay, so
she's so good at this. She's amazing. I love her so much. There's such a good, like, even not even just like, if you don't ship them romantically, they just play off of each other as characters.
The chemistry is incredible.
Well. Jillian is so good at this. Like, she should not be this good at this. She is so good, and I need her every episode. Her and Jason are just hanging out together. I don't care if they're dating or if they're just best friends or whatever, but I just need them to spend more time together because they are an amazing duo. It's so good.
The vast majority of what I have to say about this episode is about Jillian.
Okay, can I just say, for a second, I was like, maybe I don't have to re-listen to the episode because I remember, like, how the whole story, like, generally goes. Uh-huh. Just, like, listening to the first minute, I was just like, oh, yeah, because, like, the grandma and the maybe betrayal and the stealing and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, I remember. And then Connie just uttered the word Jillian. And, like, I had a flashback where it's like, I don't know, like, I went through the space gate in Space Odyssey, where I was just like, oh, and I remembered everything with Jillian in this episode. And I was like, okay, I will make time to re-listen to all of this. I love her so much. It's so good.
So
it's
yeah,
so good, Devin.
We get
so good.
It's basically the end of the opening scene is where we get the twist in the last line of like this wedding crash drama of like, oh, Connie's gonna have this beautiful wedding, whatever, and then the grandma's like, destroy it, and I was very excited. What I was anticipating that meant is Connie needs to make sure everything goes wrong with the wedding so that they just decide to call it off because it's such a disaster. Like, oh, make you're going to get food poisoning and the dress is going to get stained and stuff like that. And I thought it was going to be like, oh, this wedding is a comedy of errors, which is what every...
Like Bad Wedding Part 3, basically.
Which is what every wedding episode is want to become. And so I was very glad when instead it's like, oh, we need to start investigating. We need to start doing background checks. And I was like, oh, this is much more interesting.
Yeah. I had the same thought process like the first time I listened to it. I was like, oh, here we go again. And even worse, I was thinking like,
I mean, just based on the title, that's what I was expecting.
Like, it's not going to mean as much to me if this couple's wedding doesn't go very well because I'm meeting them for the first time.
Yeah.
With like Eugene and Katrina or Wooten and Penny's weddings going bad. It's like, oh, I feel for them because I've been wanting them to like be happy for such a long amount of time.
Yeah.
And with this, I'm like, I don't know who you are, but you seem pretty cute.
Yeah.
So I guess I'd be upset. I don't know.
I didn't understand like why this guy would be doing that at first until we find out that she's like absurdly rich. Then Connie's like, someone would marry just for that. It's $2.5 million. And Jillian's like, okay, yeah, lol, same. I would definitely do that.
Jillian saying that, and then just the silence that follows, and she's like, or not.
I mean, wig, yeah.
I love Jillian so much. Jillian is like, she's the character we didn't realize we needed, but we did.
We did so badly. I'm curious, Victoria, if you were faced with only the information that Cynthia gave, the grandma provided, about like, this is what's happening with my granddaughter and her money, and these are the shady things I know about this guy. Please make the wedding not happen. What would you believe or suspect, and what would you do to act on any of it?
Okay, so I'm gonna try and remember my thoughts when I first listened to this episode. So I was thinking, like, I can kind of see where she's coming from, because that stuff does seem like a little bit sus.
Yeah.
But, like, there's no reason to believe her. Like, especially, like, maybe in real life, I would think a little bit differently. I doubt I would completely believe her in real life either. But with Odyssey, I'm so used to, like, these old people coming in, ruin everyone else's happiness, like, freaking,
Scooby-Doo.
dark side of the glass. Like, just this guy swooping in, and he's just like, no, Wooten, you suck. I'm gonna do my own thing and ruin everyone's lives, or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And it was just like, yeah, okay, this lady who I also don't know is telling me to believe her. Oh, okay, Mrs. Charles, I'll get right on that. Go away. So I was very happy with Connie.
Is that who her kids are, or her child and spouse? The bride's parents who died is Mr. Charles.
It's Buck's parents.
You're saying Buck is the son of Mr. Charles?
Yes. But, basically, like, there's no reason Connie should believe her any more than she should believe someone
Well, yeah,
else.
but I'm saying...
So I think Connie went the right way by getting other people's input and then getting Jason to help out with
No,
everything.
but that's what I'm asking. Like, how would you choose to investigate, or would you tell the bride, whose name I can't remember, would you tell her, like, what she said, or, like, would you have asked her the questions that Connie did, or done something else first? Like,
I think I would, like, try to look into things a little bit, just to, because, like, if I didn't look into things, and I went out and I, like, accused the groom of being, like, a gold digger in front of the bride or something like that, and then she's like, my grandma's, like, insane, right? Like, we just got her out of an asylum or something like that, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Do you still want business with me? And they would be like, no, go away. So, I'm thinking, like, I would definitely look into the validity of, like, probably the lady first. I feel like I would look into her before the guy.
Wow, even before him. Interesting.
Like, or, like, them both equally at the same time or something like that.
Yeah.
Just, like, to make sure that neither of them are sketchy, and then I would talk to the bride.
The thing I find interesting about that very note is that it's set up initially, very obviously, to be like, oh, this is all circumstantial, and they both have a stake in, like, could be the one who's lying.
Like this is Odyssey. Weird stuff happens all the time. If it was him, like, that would be way too easy.
Yeah, and they talked about how Cynthia's, like, had a history being super overprotective and paranoid.
Exactly.
And stuff like that. But then, almost immediately, they, like, take away that dichotomy, and they're like, oh yeah, no, these places that he went to all had, like, robberies where people were drugged and it was premeditated. And so it was like, oh, that kind of...
Yeah. Okay,
that
my
resolved
first
quickly.
thought with that was, maybe he is suspicious, and my second thought was, or maybe it's all a big coincidence.
That's a pretty big stretch.
Yeah, I know, but you know what the thing is, Devin? Life is weird. It's so weird. Weird stuff happens all the time. I'm sure there have been cases similar to this.
I guess.
Where the person was completely innocent.
I mean, yeah, that wouldn't hold up in court, but...
And, yeah, I know,
I'm just saying
but,
that
like,
happened,
whenever...
and then the guy in the wedding party got drugged and robbed, like, while he was being brought to the reception by him. At that
I know,
point, it's
but, like, whenever I see something like this in, like, a story, and someone's like, there's no other explanation or something like that, I'm like, there are a ton of other explanations, or, like, when I watch,
there's way too much thickness left in this book for it to not be a red herring.
Exactly, like, whenever I get to a certain point in a book, and I'm like, oh, everyth's going good, and then I see how much of the book is left, I'm like, everyone's gonna die.
Yeah.
Or, when I watch, like, a movie or something like that, where the dialogue's, like, a little weird or something, and it might be because the writer's, like, not a great writer, but then you look at how dumb people talk in real life, and I'm like, no, this is more legit than you guys, like, are willing to admit. Like, when I binged Twilight with all of Riley in one day, and I go on Tumblr and I see people being like, these characters are so dumb, they talk like idiots. I'm like, yeah, everyone talks like idiots. Are we not living on the same planet? Like, Anyway, that's my tangent. Those are the things I think about when it comes to people complaining about dialogue. That's why I love the dialogue in things like Gravity Falls and RVB so much, because the characters' voices overlap with each other, and they stutter, and they sound stupid a lot of the time, and it feels so much more real. Like, Odyssey does that sometimes, and it makes me really happy. I think I got off topic by a lot.
So, they need to do background checks on Caleb. That's his name. So, they're like, there's only one person we can use for this. I thought they were going to pull in Eugene at first, honestly.
I thought they were going to pull in Wit, and I was so happy when they didn't. Like, this happened with the season finale, like, a couple seasons ago with, like, Buck and Eugene and Katrina.
Yeah.
And then and, like, Wit wasn't in that either. And they were like, oh, yeah, we need the one person who can help. And you're like, it's going to be Wit. And then it's Penny. And then this, you're like, oh, Wit's going to appear. And he doesn't. It's Jason helping them. It's really nice.
So, of course, I was like, of course, that makes sense as soon as Jillian. Another episode tying Jillian and Jason together. Mighty suspicious, it does seem, is what I said as soon as he appeared, which was before they spent half the episode doing a fake married AIOO. And, like, everyone commenting on, like, man, you guys sure do make a cute couple and stuff like that. And having to come up with pet names for each other. And I'm just like...
I was driving in the car and I was just screaming. I was like, I'm so happy. Like, and just think, dude, I listened to A Sacrificial Escape and this back to back.
So did I.
And I was just like in a different state of being, basically,
Me also.
by the end of the hour.
When Connie said to Jason, like, she's trying to convince him to help, and she was like, think of how it would feel to help someone in this situation. I thought she was going to say, think of how it would feel to become romantically involved with someone who wasn't who they said they were, and they were lying to you, manipulating you. And Jason's just getting, like, Monica flashbacks, and honestly, Tasha flashbacks, too.
I didn't even think of Monica. Oh my gosh. Jason's love life is just so garbage.
Oh, so yeah.
Also, like... him saying, like, what about a wife or Connie or whatever? It's like, now's not the time for this. Like, your first thought was legitimately, like, we need to solve a mystery, but first, what about marriage?
I was just way into this mystery so much. Like, I was like, obviously, last episode with Maury was the climax of this album, certainly, but this is still a great finale to end on. Jillian cut off Jason as he was saying that he had a dog named Honeybun growing up, and I'm just so glad that Wit didn't name the dog McGruff again.
Honeybun was his last name. His first name was McGruff.
Okay.
Jason's like, we had to call him Honeybun because we had two other dogs. We had 3 dogs. All of them were named McGruff, so we had to come up with a nickname. McDuff. Yeah, I was thinking McGruff doesn't sound right.
I know. I was like, that's not right.
And we're listening to McGruff the Crust.
Girls, I heard of him.
We listened to Grass. Taste.
That's so good. Okay, so obviously, kind of main point to take away from the end of the episode, besides the cliffhanger where Caleb is about to confess something to his bride-to-be, is the fact that Jillian is leagues better at being undercover and coming up with a fake backstory than Jason is. She's really smart about, like, her backstory with the fancy wedding, too, when Jason was annoyed at her for being like, yeah, it was, like, lavish with the cruise ship, and there were dolphins with the ring bears and stuff. Because here's the thing, if they want to honeypot Caleb, they need him to see them as rich marks. So it's wise to, like, be like, oh yeah, we're so rich and everything.
And, like, can I just say, Jillian is, like, 10 steps ahead of Jason when it comes to scamming people, and it is amazing.
I adore her.
Can you imagine?
And here's the thing, Victoria.
Can you imagine if Jillian and Monica ever met?
Victoria, here's the thing.
Force of chaos that would be.
Remember less than a year ago when we were coming up with our cast and roles for, like, Ocean's 9, and we didn't know what to do with Jillian. We made her the wild card. But I
We
think
were
she's the
right.
face now.
Oh, great. Yeah. Dude, I forgot about Ocean's 9. Are you still recording?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah,
Dude,
she's the face of the
honestly,
operation now. Like, she not only does she have
Jillian
Abel,
has
she has the
such
V role.
a strong Lindsay energy, and I really do think that means she's still the wild card. Because, like, you just never know what she's gonna do.
Wild card
Honestly,
is like her overall
Jillian could
modifier.
do every single role in the heist if
It's
she
true.
wanted
She's had a
to.
lot of jobs.
Yeah, and she could even like fake the jewelry really easily for like the replacement for the $1 million like necklace.
It's
Like
true.
she's got this. She like trains wild animals to like run inside a gala and distract everyone while she does everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got this.
Yeah, she and Connie work really well together as forgers because she makes the jewelry and Connie has the talent in forging paintings.
Yeah, why do you think she moved in with Connie? Because her little sister's name is Jules. She thought they were loaded. She soon learned they were dirt poor and was very disappointed.
So, yeah, this episode was just all about Jillian for me. Queen of my heart.
Same.
I love her so much. She's such a good character.
She's so good. My one fear is that she goes away.
It can't happen.
I can't let that happen.
I can't abide the thought.
I have lost so much. I need this. I lost so many good characters. I lost Monica. I lost Jared. I lost Riley after one episode. That's probably the most outrageous thing. Yeah, I need Jillian to stay so bad. I want Jillian to meet Jay, because I feel like that would be extremely chaotic. And they would just destroy everything they touch.
Yeah, I mean, Jillian does that regardless.
I want to see a scenario so buck wild that Jillian is forced to be the straight man in it. Like, that would be insane.
Kathy, you listening?
Kathy.
Oh, yeah, we just need more everything with Jillian. She's a great character.
I love her so much. Like, every single Jillian episode has been incredible. There's been no bad Jillian episodes.
And this has been the best.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for part 2. That's all I have to say about this one, really. Yeah, part 1 was fantastic. It was a good episode.
Schooling secret
it was
spy master.
Like, it was a good
Jason
and
Whittaker.
enthralling episode, even without the Jillian aspect of it. But she just like doubled everything in this episode in the best way.
Double Jillian. Oh,
Double
did
Marshall.
you say that on purpose or no?
I didn't know.
Oh, I thought you did.
No.
Dude, between gushing over Jillian and then Remind coming out tomorrow, I can just not handle anything.
Okay, is that everything you have about part 1, Victoria?
Yeah, I think so. Who do you think?
Also, I was
guilty?
Like, when they were talking
I think
about,
it's the dog.
When they talked about like, oh, like this woman at the hotel at the place that Caleb went to, like she had her jewelry stolen. I was like, okay, yeah, it was probably him. And I figured he was just like pickpocketing it off people. And then we found out that he was like premeditatedly drugging people to like knock them out and take it off them. And I was like, whoa, this just got like way more serious.
Wooten Penny honeymoon.
Yeah, like that just
twist.
Seriously upped the escalation level of like felonies that he's committed. So
I love this episode. I love how many twists it has and how unexpected it is. I want to say before I forget, a legit theory I had listening to this for the first time was that it was the dog and the grandma.
The dog?
Yeah, the grandma would like use the dog.
What dog?
To take things. She has a dog.
Oh. I don't remember dog.
I think it's her.
Oh, wait, yeah,
Or
she
maybe
did, yes, okay.
Yeah. My theory was, like, maybe she trained the dog to take things from people. Like, if someone had something in their, like, pocket, and then, like,
But
a dog
she
runs up and
thought,
sniffs their pocket
did
and,
you
like,
think she
takes
was
it.
following Caleb around the country to
Yeah,
small cities?
okay, let me say, I was thinking it was her,
Mm-hmm.
and she was trying to pin her crime on Caleb,
Mm-hmm.
and because she didn't want Caleb for whatever reason,
Uh-huh.
for, like, some, say, like, he's poor, because he is compared to her, but anyone's poor compared to her.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't think he was worthy,
Uh-huh.
so she was going to ruin him, was my theory.
That is quite the elaborate measure.
Maybe the dog has nothing to do with it, but I did think something was sketch about that grandma, and that she was trying to drag Caleb down
with a very convoluted way of
she's crazy. They already said she was, like, paranoid and stuff.
I have to say, like, from Caleb's perspective, if it was the day of the wedding rehearsal, we're going to get married to the person who's about to get their trust fund for $2.5 million, I don't think I would be so risky as to, on the way to the rehearsal dinner, swipe the cufflinks from someone who's going to be at the wedding in the wedding party. Because the chances of getting caught and then losing out on the big pot would be so high. That seems like way too risky for small
My thoughts with
bees.
that was that you were completely right. It is a dumb decision. I was thinking, if it is Caleb, which
is the mom's
still not, could be. I'm still not entirely convinced it is Caleb at this point. My past self, at least.
Yeah.
my past life.
Yes.
But if it is him, and he would make such, like, a big mistake like that, in this case, I think he's legitimately a kleptomaniac, because it's such a dumb choice.
Yeah.
To try and do something like that for him specifically. I'm still very suspicious of that Gma.
Although I feel like if we're leaning on, like, the mania in kleptomaniac kind of leans against the amount of premeditation that it takes to, like, drug their food so far in advance.
I mean, yeah, I guess that doesn't really play with it at all. I was just thinking, like, he legitimately fell for her, but he was also like, oh, but I also want to take...
But also money. But also, I want to steal.
I want to steal. Caleb is his own person. He can do what he wants. I want to steal. You are both bunk.
Okay. So, that's part one. And now we'll cut to...
Dude, I know Over the Garden Wall has, like, so many good moments, but can we just agree that that's the most iconic quotable line in the entire show?
Yeah. It is true.
Also, the fact that Elijah Wood legitimately was forced to just...
to sing
repeatedly, just anything that came to his mind without any music.
My name is Wirt, and he's Greg, and he's my stepbrother, because my mother got remarried, and then they had him.
And send us on our way! He plays instruments. He knows how they work. He still proceeds to pull an instrument out of someone's mouth, turn it around, and shove it back in their mouth. He's a musician. He should know better than this.
Okay, we need to talk about part two, and then we'll know everything that's happening, and we'll do it hopefully fast, because then we have to review the whole album. So let's do that now. So, part two, the finale, episode 879, Nightmares by Constance, part two, still written by Kathy. What happens in the second part, Victoria?
Make sure you remember to check that you're recording.
I am.
So in this part, it starts with our favorite OTP at the moment until something possibly comes along better. Until P-Jill becomes a reality, Kathy. So Jillian and Jason are going through what's-his-face's apartment. You'd think I'd be able to remember it at this point. Caleb
Montgomery. Yeah, well, they did that last time, right? They found the drink because they were on their way out from his room when they overheard Claire being like, "You deceived me," and stuff.
That was in this episode.
That was the end of part 1, I'm saying.
No, that happened in this one.
Okay. Did they just get the room key at the end of part 1?
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind then.
Yeah. Okay, so what Devin just said happens. They see, like, that there's a orange drink and there's, like, some powder and stuff on his outfit. And so they, like, grab that as evidence. When they're leaving, they hear, what's her name?
Claire.
No. Oh, yeah, Claire, saying that, like, Caleb tricked her about something or lied to her. And they weren't going to lie to each other anymore. And then they're like, this is enough evidence, we think. And then they send all the stuff they found to Eugene to be tested.
Well, Jason does the testing. Eugene just lets them use the lab.
Yeah. And then they, like, show everything to Pullhouse, and he's just like, hey guys, next time you detective, can you tell me? Because this is my job, and it's not your job. And Jason's like, I am a deputy boy.
Maybe you should
and
start doing
Pullhouse
it.
is like, not good enough. And then they lock Caleb up, and then the sketchy grandma is like, thank you for doing it. And then, like, when she was like thanking them,
getting scarved.
When she was like thanking them and stuff, I was like, okay, she is just definitely, there's something not right. Like, I already didn't really think it was Caleb.
Well, he gets arrested like 5 minutes into the episode.
Yeah,
so we're like,
I know,
well, clearly that's not it.
This was just like a super confirmation. Like, it is not him. I was still so suspicious of her because that's such an Odyssey thing to do. Like,
well, it's a storytelling thing in general. I wouldn't.
I know, but like, think about like The Mysterious Stranger, where it's like the uncle who is actually the uncle. Turns out, plot twist.
My favorite plot twist.
What
ever.
A great plot twist. Yeah, Kenneth's uncle / Kent, and he's just like, thank you for doing this. Anytime there's a mystery and someone says like, thank you for locking this person away, I'm like, that person is guilty. And so then they talk to Claire, and she's like, I don't think Caleb's guilty. And then Jason questions Caleb, and then he says, like, by the way, my mom is like an ex-convict, and he's like, that's probably something you should have told us before. And then they go to find the mom.
So they go find the mom, and Connie, they were like going to be sneaky, but then Connie just confronts her and convinces her to come in, and so she does.
And that's such a Connie thing to do.
And so she does, and then she tells them about how she was the one who killed Claire's parents, and then they're like, and Jason's like,
I forgot about that. I forgot.
That's the whole reason.
I forgot.
That's the reason for everything. And Jason was like, yes, I knew this. And because also here's video footage showing that Cynthia did it. And she was like, yes, I did it because I hate them because they killed your parents, Claire. And Claire's like, well, you killed my parents emotionally, of the parents of my memories in my heart. So,
got him.
Yeah.
What a sick burn. Good job, Claire.
And then they have the wedding. And Cynthia's like, yeah, toast to these guys. And everyone's like, aw, that's sweet. I guess she's over it now. And then we get more shippy lines about people talking about what a good couple Jason and Jillian are and how cute they are together. And then that's the end of the episode. And
then Jason and Jillian get surprise married, and that's the end of the episode. I really love the almost got married but didn't club.
Yeah,
that gets formed.
I love how that comes
Jillian
up so
saying,
much.
Oh, I want to be part of your club. And I'm like, well, Jillian, Jason, time to get on.
It is literally like every single Dreams by Constance episode it comes up. I was surprised they brought up like the Tasha Jason wedding, because they haven't mentioned that in forever, whereas Connie's always talking about how she got jilted at the altar, unquote.
Do you think like Connie's reviews on Yelp are like, she did really good, there were a bunch of things we thought were gonna go bad but then turned out good, did talk a lot about how she isn't married yet, though, made us kind of uncomfortable. Did bring up this guy named Michael a couple times. Don't really remember what his name. I think it was
Mitchell.
Brought up this guy named Mitch. Don't know what his last name was though.
Whatever your last name is. Jillian is such a good spy. I'm so proud of her. She was so good in this whole two-parter.
Jillian is... Honestly, I think Jillian might be one of my favorite female characters in Odyssey. Like,
she's really good. Like, so from her first episode, I was like, oh, I really like her, and she's never going to show up again.
Yeah.
And now she is. And
now she's been in multiple episodes, and she's basically like...
She just keeps getting better.
One of Connie's closest friends, and she's like an older sister for Jules.
And she's working for Connie now, too.
She's Penny's nemesis, and like, it's amazing.
She is such a good character. I really, really like her. I realized on my second listen through of this episode that her name starts with a J, which means she can marry Jason and join the family, too.
You didn't realize her name started with a J?
Well, I mean,
you just didn't think about it?
Because, like, the Whittaker family, you know?
Yeah.
Jason, John, Jenny, Jana, Jerry.
Monty, the black sheep.
Yeah. Well, that's why Jana had to divorce Bill. That's why Jason couldn't get married to Tasha. But he found Jillian now. She has a J name.
It's like, Tasha...
It'll work.
I know you're not a Christian, and that's kind of a deal breaker, but an even bigger deal breaker will be if you don't change your name to Joshua like I want you to.
Jillian and Jason, they just have, like, honestly, really good chemistry together. They also had really good chemistry together because they were doing unknowns analysis.
Wow. I would hang up on the call, but that ended up really bad last time.
It did, yes. Please don't do that again.
Yeah.
I liked it when they were doing that because I was like, oh, yeah. This is my area. I mean, we do knowns analysis, not unknowns analysis. And it's not by...
And that's not your area, I suppose, is it?
It's pretty close. They were doing structural analysis with, like, proton X-ray emissions. So it's like... kind of NMR more like, but you know, it's in the same field. So yeah, Caleb got arrested like right near the beginning, and I was like, oh man, like obviously it's not him then, which makes sense because I mean,
did you think it was him in the first episode?
Well, like I said, it was weird because at the beginning she's like, I think it's Caleb, and then we get the evidence and it's like, looks like it is Caleb, and I'm like, that's weird. I mean, I guess it kind of is a plot twist for the person who it seems like at the beginning to actually be the person. Like, the lack of a plot twist is a plot twist, but then got there and I'm like, okay, yeah, so it isn't him. So what did we miss? Because I was like, it felt pretty clear cut. The only joke I made in the first episode was like, it could be Caleb's mom, because she was also there when... Yeah,
and anyone who watched both parts might have seen me be like, maybe it is his mom.
Yeah, because I was like, she was with them when they picked up Uncle George and his cufflinks were stolen. I feel bad for Polehouse. Like, this is all, everything that has ever happened to him in this town is just so deeply not what he signed up for when he came to Odyssey. Like, the things this man has seen. Like, dude, I like it when he's like...
He's just really deep undercover Leonard Meltzner. So...
I just like the idea of like, oh, someone's cufflinks got stolen, Polehouse shows up, it's going to be a normal day for once. And then he sees Jason come up and he's like...
Lord, give me strength.
And then he sees Connie and Jillian there too, and he's like, I'm just gonna let you guys handle this one. I don't want to...
He sees Connie, he's like, oh no. He sees Jillian, he just books it.
He's like, I'm going home for the day. This one's a mulligan. So yeah, double twist. It wasn't Caleb, and it wasn't Caleb's mom. It was Cynthia, which is like...
I was right.
Which you might like guess from the beginning. It's like, oh, she thinks it's Caleb, so it's probably her. And then it seems like it actually is Caleb, and then you're like, actually, it seems more like it's probably his mom. And then in the end, it was Cynthia after all. Honestly,
I was right.
I figured that she probably couldn't be responsible for the theft in Wawasee, because like I'm like, Claire lives with her grandma. She would have known if her grandma had like gone to the same small obscure town at the exact same time as her fiance, probably. But I guess she didn't. And also, the fact that those robberies were both faked and they never actually had the stuff stolen, like, they faked them all these things and like literally drugged themselves voluntarily just to frame Caleb. Like I never would have guessed that all these people would like get on board to do.
And Caleb's like, on second
this
thought,
thing.
I don't think I'm watched Marry into this family.
Yeah.
Y'all seem pretty crazy.
Yeah, I was like, because those seemed like all these like holes in it for me that didn't make sense about why Cynthia would do these things. Like I did realize as soon as the mom started talking, like, oh, she was the driver who killed Claire's parents. But before that, I'm like, why would Cynthia be like stealing stuff? Like, is she just a compulsive thief? Is that how she got so rich in the first place? But once it was like, oh, they weren't actual robberies, they were all staged just to frame Caleb, I was like, okay, that everything closes together. It was a good mystery.
Mm-hmm.
Good mystery. Good job, Kathy.
I obviously don't remember enough about this episode compared to what I remember. I thought I remembered.
Ain't that just the way?
Yeah. I thought this two-parter was really great. And a large part of that was because, like, I actually really liked Caleb and Claire. I didn't think I would, like, care about them.
Uh-huh.
But they were, like, really good one-shot characters. Like, I think a part of it is, like, they feel really genuine. Like, you can tell they really love each other.
I was kind of annoyed
really
by, like, it at first, because I was like, he's just using you, like, stop being so naive about it. But then he wasn't, and it was like, they actually do like each other.
It was like, oh, he actually is really nice.
Okay, maybe I can throw aside the cynicism for a minute.
But, yeah, they more than fulfill their role.
Especially when Claire was like...
they could have been so bland,
yeah.
But I actually do care about them.
When Claire was like, imagine finding such a nice, perfect Christian guy at the college, and he used to deliver newspapers to my grandmother, which isn't suspicious at all. And I was like...
And then second listen, you're like, oh, that is not suspicious at all. You were
it's still kind of weird.
Yeah.
That he just happened to used to deliver the newspapers to the mansion.
It's almost like that's a real job that some people have in real life.
Well, yeah, some people, but not usually specifically the child of the person who killed your parents.
Small town. Population of 5.
It's a very small newspaper.
Very small. He was also the one who wrote the newspaper.
It's like 3 sentences.
I
really...
You would think Claire would know that his mom was in jail if that was the case, but
yeah.
No. Anyway.
Yeah, it was a good mystery. I liked the double twist.
Devin. What do you think Jillian and Jason's name, like...
Their ship name?
Their ship name would be?
Jason. Nope. Jillian.
Oh, that's so... Oh, man. So good.
Jillian. Jillin.
Jillson.
Jillson.
Hall. Jake Gyllenhaal.
Uh-huh.
Jake Gyllenhaal, the child of Jason and Jillian.
Another J name.
Pure talent running in that family.
Yeah, it was a good mystery on a character level. I really liked it. I loved, obviously, Jillian was my favorite in this episode, and the dynamic that we got between her and Jason was phenomenal. But Connie and Jason, both in and of themselves, were excellent, and I had fun with Pull House and his just like ubiquitous, constant state of exasperation at the life that he has found himself inside of.
You know, there's not actually that many characters in this two-parter when you think about it.
There's
like,
not.
Eugene doesn't even get to talk.
Nope, they're the only 4 recurring characters in part 2.
Yeah.
And in part 1.
It's like the last couple season finales. It's been like, okay, everyone's allowed to help. Wit, get out of here. You were an advice.
It's nice to have a more focused cast, though.
Mm-hmm. No, I always really like it when the cast is really small.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm fine with it if it's not small. I worded that strangely. I like it when, I think my favorite's when it's either super big or super, super small. So, like, you can be like, hey, I didn't think this person would be in here. That's cool that
Well, it gives you more time to
Bradford's
focus
in
on...
here, even if he only gets one line or something
It gives
like
you more
that.
time to focus on specific character dynamics.
Mm-hmm. Like the budding romance between Jason and Jillian.
That is primarily what I meant, yes.
Even though she's probably way
half his
younger
age
than him. Which, hopefully not, but I'm pretty sure Jillian's younger than Connie, and if Connie's way younger than Jason...
I think Jillian might be older than Connie. I don't remember if they talked about it.
Is she?
She might be.
I thought she was younger than... Maybe it's just that she acts younger than her.
It could. I feel like they might have said that because she's has like a billion different professions that she's worked.
Well, the
don't
time travel theory, maybe Jillian is Jason, is Whit,
Is Jay.
is Jay. That's why so good at detection?
She's Jason in the future after he gets reaches like god tier level spy work. Then he evolves into Jillian.
Oh, is Jillian gonna be like ultimate form?
Yeah.
Jillian is the equivalent of Ultima in Odyssey.
Yeah, she's the last link in the chain.
She is
the final being.
Is the highest the wit state can develop into. Saying that made me remember why this whole weird thing was started in the first place. It's because Wit and Wit have the same name.
Ah, yes.
Yes. And that's literally the only reason.
I don't remember, was
it's
Jay supposed to be the end of the chain?
Though? I think so. I think it was Wit started it and Jay ended it. Jillian is the secret end. If you defeat Yozora, if you don't defeat Yozora, you end up with Jay for the bad ending. If you do, you end up with Jillian for the good ending.
Jillian is Luxord. That's her real identity. That's her somebody.
Jillian was the one driving the car. No one's gonna understand anything that we just said, but whatever.
A week ago, we wouldn't have even understood.
I think about that so much.
Time really is weird, isn't it?
If I was going into a new installment of something and I could tell my past self a couple things about it, what would be the most confusing things I would say? I like to think that's how Nomura writes.
He starts there and works backwards.
Yeah.
That's entirely possible.
This two-parter, I don't have much to say other than I think it's just really good. I personally prefer part 1 over part 2. But that could have just been my being tired after a long day of work.
Not remembering it as well because you listen to them at different times.
And then being home by the time part 2 was halfway done. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was good. I felt like it balanced like good character dynamics and good plot very well. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give it a 4.8.
I'm going to give it a 4.7. Woo!
Okay, so now we are going to talk about the album as a whole. Album 67 summary.
Oh, I forgot we were going to do that. Okay.
Yeah. So, we'll take care of that right now. Okay, so, album 67, More Than Meets the Eye, was the album that we just finished. Yes. I feel like this title was pretty apt with regards to A Sacrificial Escape and Page from the Playbook and Nightmares by Constance.
I would agree with that. The titles don't always match up, but I think this one was good for that.
Yeah, they're usually just kind of like vague idioms, and I wonder, with every passing album, how many left they have in stock.
They're counting them down.
There's only so many, like, 3 or 4 word turns of phrase that you can use.
They're going to have to hire someone at Focus to create new idioms like some kind of Shakespearean savant and spread them throughout the masses.
We're just going to start grabbing phrases off Urban Dictionary eventually.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so what episodes were in this album, Victoria?
I can't wait until they have to start resorting to memes like Adventures in Odyssey 127, Eat into Adventure. Okay.
Here comes Dat Boy and its bus.
This is Eugene
In a
on a
frog costume.
unicycle in a frog costume. But like it's the Hillary Clinton version of Okay.
We have like Connie on a bad date on the cover, and it's something about like breadsticks in her purse.
I'm pretty sure that's already canon. Okay. So first episode, Rightly Dividing, then Man of the House, then Page from the Playbook, and then A Sacrificial Escape, and then the two-part season finale, Nightmares by Constance.
Yep. That's it. Okay, this has been episode 181.
So how are we... Any more thoughts on these before we rank them?
Rightly Dividing. This episode, I don't remember if I mentioned this the first time. I don't think I did. I'd never heard of like an imprecatory psalm before. Like I know that there's different kinds of psalms, but I hadn't heard that specific term, which makes it really funny to me when Camilla has this really rebuffed tone when she scoffs. I know what an imprecatory psalm is, Pastor Knox. Because I listened to that the first time, I was like, I don't.
You're like, yeah, I do too.
Yeah, come on.
This episode had the plot with the one boy being bullied.
Yeah.
Which was a little forgettable.
It was Lou and
in
Declan.
My opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, was his name.
It also had the stuff with Sarah and Camilla.
Yes.
Which I thought was really good.
Yes.
Unfortunately, for this episode, the other episodes were, well, okay, half of this album, I would say, was a lot better than the other half of the album, in my opinion, because of that.
A third,
this one,
especially, like, being not as good as the other 2/3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
No, it half, because The Sacrificial Escape and Nightmares by Constance.
I really like Page from the Playbook,
half.
too. So.
I think I need to listen to that one again to properly form a strong opinion.
So yeah, obviously, like we said before, the bit with like Sarah and Camilla's storyline, it's still like it just boggles my mind because like the whole conceptual situation here, like it's so powerful and emotional. Like the being in the place of knowing you have this transplant scheduled at this specific time that will come, and it'll come from someone who dies suddenly, but that their death hasn't happened yet. Like there's so many qualifying factors that have to go into it to set up like the kind of moral, emotional dilemma that it is. But it turns out that all of those specific qualifying factors also happen to be how it is in real life. Is like it almost feels like contrived, right? Don't you think? How it's like, well,
what do you mean?
Because the whole reason that it's like an interesting kind of like moral situation is it's like, well, you're going to get these transplants. They have to come from someone who's died, and it's scheduled for a time, so you know at a specific point they will be taking it from someone who's died, but it has to be someone who wasn't dead for a long, who like wasn't sick for a long time, so it'll have to be sudden, and it's far enough in the future, and it has to be fresh enough that it's someone who hasn't died yet. It's not like it's someone who died in the past and they've been keeping them on ice. So It's like, in order to create that situation, that's a lot of specific rules. And so when you hear that, it kind of sounds like, oh, like they really had to like make a bunch of qualifying rules about how it works to like set up this situation. And then you find out that like, no, that is real and that's legitimately how it is. And it's like, oh, wow. Like,
did you think this was a thing they made up?
Well, I mean, I might not have thought that necessarily all of those specific conditions necessarily have to be exactly that way and all line up.
Because how would it not be this way in real life?
Well, maybe you can keep the lens like preserved for longer than 2 weeks after death, or it can come from someone who died of old age and not someone who like died young and suddenly.
I mean, it makes sense that they would need like younger.
It does. It's just
stuff.
They all make sense individually, but all of them stacking together feels like it's...
I never thought this was fake, let me just say.
Well, no, I'm just saying all of them stacking together the way they do, all pointing in this kind of very, like, narrow situation that doesn't like leave any like, oh, but what about this, that would make it kind of like feel more okay and normal, or like, oh, this, like, it's like these conditions like close off every other possibility you could think of. And so it seems like it's so airtight that it had to be like specifically designed with like a narrative intent and purpose, all these conditions. But it's like, no, this is how it actually is. It's amazing that Sarah was able to have this impact through the episode like this. It's very cool.
Yeah.
I
just wish the one half of the episode was like as well written as the other half.
Yeah, the stuff.
I feel like it would be a lot more memorable as an overall episode if it was.
The stuff with Lou and Declan isn't bad. It's just that it's so similar to the exact same take that we've seen on this exact same passage previously before.
Yeah. What episode was it again?
With this one? Or are you talking about Isaac the True Friend?
Yeah, Isaac
the True Friend. Or sorry, not True Friend.
No.
Isaac the Benevolent.
Yes.
I
feel like it was done a lot better there because that was the only storyline in that episode.
I want to say there is at least one more episode that also covered the Golden Rule like this.
I can't think of what it is, though.
Neither can I. So, yeah, that was rightly dividing. Next episode is Man of the House. It is...
Neither of us really care for this episode. It was done better elsewhere with Grady and with Lawrence.
Without all the toxic masculinity. This episode is such a great example of the kind of setup that seems like it really was leaning towards David doing a big trickety trick, and he tells Matthew to pitch the tent himself, despite the fact that Matthew's like, Dad, you always said it takes two people. The logical follow-through here is that like Matthew can't do it alone, and it's a lesson about like how society may make you think that a man needs to go it alone and isolate himself from the help of others, but we can't accomplish things by ourselves. We need to work together and rely on each other. That's a perfect setup for a good lesson that like counteracts what Matthew might think being a man is supposed to mean, that went completely nowhere. David makes them carry rocks up the mountain because they need to learn to carry the emotional baggage of everyone around them without releasing that weight or sharing these burdens with others, which is another great example of unhealthy toxic masculinity that leads to emotional suppression.
Basically, like, take everything and just flip it.
It's like
flip what they said.
They take that and it's just played completely straight-faced. And this one is addressed, but like differently than it should be. Like Matthew hears kids playing in a lake, and David and Wyatt are like, there's no time for fun when you're a man. You got to carry these rocks up a mountain. And then there's this sad tone in Matthew's voice that connotes like a realization that the ideals he pinned on were actually not a good idea, and he just wants to be a human being, free to enjoy himself normally, which then does come up later as the like, I just want to be a kid for now and play around. And then one day when I'm grown up, then I can be like a joyless, emotionally stunted man.
I just want to have joy for like 2 days.
Yeah.
And then I will feel nothing afterwards.
It's weird because it feels so much like this episode was supposed to have a different ending, and then it was like suddenly rewritten to be the opposite. I've never seen a story have such a well set up progression towards a lesson and then just do the diametric opposite at the end. Also, it's just heartbreaking how Wyatt sounds so tired and broken when he's fretting over the fire and his hands are bleeding. Like, it's breaking my heart that the overt lines, like he says when David's like, stop it, he's like, we have matches, we can start a fire, and he says, no matches, I have to do it like a man would. And David does not like shut him down after he says that. It's not rebutted at all about putting that kind of expectations on what your gender is supposed to mean to you. Like, that is such like an overt red flag line of like, this is where the adult then comes in, is like, no, actually.
Yeah.
And they just don't.
David walks up, he's just like,
shocking to me.
Bad technique, and then walks away.
It's just so unhealthy. Yeah. It's not much has changed in how I feel about this episode.
I don't have any other points, because, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I've had a lot
page
of
from the
words to say
playbook.
about that one.
I don't really have any strong feelings about this episode. I like that Eugene was a coach. I liked Buck in it. I thought it was interesting, the trader thingy and stuff. Like I said, I need to re-listen to it for a stronger opinion.
The thing I really like about it is just like the fact that it is emblematic of this specific dramatic shift in like how Buck relates to other people in Odyssey compared to even, you know, when he was talking to Jules in The Long End, and they were talking about like, you know, coming to Odyssey and changing and their ability to like
can we agree that like
relationships with
Buck
people
and Jules
stuff.
are definitely dating even if they don't realize that they're dating?
They certainly do seem to be
Like, do you
given
think
the
they're
long
consciously
end.
dating or unconsciously dating, or are dating but they won't call it dating and they just don't want to say anything in case the other person's like, we're not dating?
Yeah, I think they both hope that they are dating but aren't sure about it.
That's such a good
Is
dynamic.
what I think.
That's
yeah,
not me
so
being sarcastic. I really
Drew in
like
this
that.
episode. No, it is. Drew in this episode seems like so nice, and I really liked his friendship with Buck before he stabbed him in the back. I like how after Drew tells him about like his family, and he was like, "Oh man, Buck, you probably think I'm all messed up now because my dad works a lot, so I live with my mom." And Buck's like, "Boy."
Buck was like, "What's a dad? What's a mom?"
I don't know how I missed this. Speaking of, I don't know how I missed this the first time through. It happens not once, but twice in this episode that Buck refers to Eugene as his dad.
Yeah, I think I caught.
And it just completely went over my head. When Buck is talking about telling Eugene and Coach Calhoun about what happened to Cooper, not about what happened to Cooper, but about what happened talking to Cooper, he says, even if we did tell our dads.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then at the end, like right near the end, he calls Eugene his dad again. And he was like, because someone was like, I guess you really are lucky to have a dad like Eugene. And Buck's like, yeah, I guess I am.
And you're like,
and I was like,
life alert, life alert, help me.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's still one step emotionally removed away from directly calling him dad in person.
And
as a
when
moniker.
he does that day,
that will be
die.
the end of us.
That will be the end of Odyssey, because I'll die and won't be able to hear anymore after that.
But yeah, it's good stuff.
What do you think is going to be bigger? Him... Actually, I think him calling Eugene dad would be like a bigger step forward for him than him calling Katrina mom, because he had a stronger relationship with Katrina to start off.
Yeah, exactly.
And like,
when he kidnapped her and gagged her in a trailer.
He wasn't raised by a woman. He was raised by like a very like rough masculine figure in his life who was always like messing him up. So for him to have like a new like male presence in his life who he can actually call his dad is very strong. Now I need someone to do a comic of him calling Mr. Skint dad and Mr. Skint saying, "Don't call me that." And that will just kill me.
Okay, it was very good. Page from the playbook. Now we get into some more intense waters.
Okay.
By which I mean the most intense waters.
We can just go listen to the Sacrificial Escape review, because what we're going to say now does no justice to the episode. Go listen to the episode if you haven't. It is one of the best episodes of Odyssey in a very long time.
So with the Miss Popoff thing, I have to say, like, I think Victoria was right about her like not being legit, but not in the way that I thought you meant. I don't know if you meant it or like I just thought you meant it that way. What I interpreted what you said as is like Miss Popoff like never had an escape room business, or she's not a real person, and this whole business was all set up completely fake just by Maury in order to trap Wit.
So I was thinking either it's that, or he hired the actual business, or is an actual business, and then there's like someone else who
Yeah, I think
is
it is an actual
pretending to be
business,
her.
and Miss
Those were my
Popoff,
3 theories.
Miss Popoff is a real person, but the person we see at the beginning of the episode is an actress pretending to be Miss Popoff because of the line
Katie Lee.
because of the line that Whit has, where he's like, "Well, I'd never actually met her in person before today," saying like, "I don't know what she looks like," so that could have been anyone pretending to be her. But it definitely confirms that it's not all legit, because right after she goes and the door locks, almost immediately after that, when Maury comes on the thing, one of the first things he says is that Miss Popoff has already left the building. And I don't know why she would do that unless she was getting away, or she still couldn't get reception inside, and then Maury sealed the front door.
I told you that lady worked for Maury.
Which, service inside Wits End should not be an issue on the ground floor, unless, of course, Maury installed a cell phone jammer, which is entirely possible. But no, the most likely thing is that she was an actress, and she was not Miss Popoff, but Miss Popoff is a real person with a real business, and that was not her. So I misunderstood what you meant last time, so now.
I had 3 different theories about who she was. That was one of them.
Yeah. I realized Whit would have gotten a pretty good clue as to what was going on based on the fact that, like, Emily and Matthew and Suzu came in tonight spontaneously. This maniac shouldn't have known that they were going to be there, especially because Whit presumably thinks that the person is just here for Whit, because Whit's like, let these kids out of here. Clearly this person is after me and targeting me because, I'm me. It's one of my mob enemies.
It's so narcissistic.
Yeah.
He's like, you must be after me. Like, even when people go after Jason, they're actually after Whit.
I know.
So,
because not only
can you imagine, like, he gets offended. He's like, what do you mean you're not after me? He devotes his life to thwarting Maury, so Maury cares about him. Whit-sama, I'm so sorry.
So not only did the voice, know Emily and Matthew and their detective ambitions and stuff, which is something that you could have picked up from their conversations, because they were talking about it, but the voice had Suzu's cell number on hand to text her the link for the live feed of the CCTV inside the escape room. He even plays like he doesn't know her name for a while, like he just keeps on saying, like, your little friend or something like that before he finally starts calling her Suzu. Whereas he calls everyone else by their names, despite the fact that he clearly has her phone number. So,
she told me to call her, doesn't mean I know her name.
Yeah, it's a bonkers episode.
It's so good.
It is very good. It is very intense, and it's
probably
very
one
good.
Of the most intense Odyssey episodes, I would argue.
Yeah.
Like, I would honestly put it up there with Exit. The stakes are a lot lower, but
in terms of scene by scene intensity,
really,
I think
really
there's nothing in Exit that compares to this. I would compare it to, like, Whit coming out of the Blackvale Imagination Station, or like,
dude, I can't listen
Lucy and Whit in The Mysterious Stranger when they hear, like, tortured human scream howls as, like, the burned house starts collapsing around them.
Can't really listen. I can listen. When I say I can't listen to these scenes, I just mean I'm deeply unsettled when I do. I can listen to them. There's no scenes in Odyssey I can't listen to.
Oh, brag about it.
I say, even though I've only ever listened to the episode where June dies once, I'm pretty sure. All the way through.
Are you serious?
Maybe. I feel like I've probably heard it more than that.
Probably.
I've probably heard it more than that, but yeah.
I'm
not good at dealing with episodes where characters I care about die, as experienced by me crying on the couch last night while playing video games because the character I liked in a Spider-Man game died. And I didn't know they were gonna die.
I will choose not to take that as spoilers because the game's been out for a year and a half.
I didn't say who it was.
I know, but
it was Uncle Ben. I didn't know he was gonna die.
I didn't see it coming.
I finished watching the real-time fan dub after I finished the game, and I stopped breathing when they started intermittently cutting clips of the Tobey Maguire movie with Uncle Ben. when he was swinging through the city. I was just like, what is happening?
I'm so glad you finally got to finish watching it.
My name isn't Silver Sable, it's Silver Table.
So Sacrificial Escape was amazing. Nightmares by Constance.
We just finished talking about
Jillian. The chemistry's so good. The notes I had for this, I just talked about in the last review. So yeah, everything that we just said earlier. It was amazing character chemistry between Jason and Jillian. Jillian was on fire as a solo character too in this, just absolutely great. Connie and Full House were both great. It was a good mystery as well. So good plot and good character balance.
Jillian, best character in Odyssey currently? Next to Buck?
Does Jillian is best character in Odyssey?
Does Jillian is best character?
Many leading experts want to know.
There are many rumors about does Jillian come out as best character, and fans want to know about her bad rumor.
Thank you. I can never remember anything past the title.
I butchered it, but
it's better than...
I can remember probably more than I should.
No, you should remember it so you can say it and it's funny, because I couldn't. Yeah. I don't think there's ever been an album maybe that we've reviewed that it has been so clear-cut in my mind how to order favorite to least favorite.
Oh, same. Yeah, this is not hard at all.
Yeah.
Okay, who should we do, like, our favorite, and then
I'll do my list first. So,
okay.
Most favorite, Sacrificial Escape, Nightmares by Constance, Page from the Playbook, The Brightly Dividing, Man of the House. Least favorite.
Hot take. Mine is the same order, I think.
I figured.
Yeah. This season was...
That's also probably the first time we've had the same list.
I think so, yeah. It's just... I think that, yeah, it's the first time it's ever been really easy to just...
We've had ones where it was like almost all of it's easy, and then there's like two we kind of quibble between. Mm-hmm. But this was like... There was like distinct strata for every episode in here.
I think like right now I'm tempted to put Rightly Dividing before Page from the Playbook, but I think upon re-listening I would definitely put Page from the Playbook above Rightly Dividing. So I'm gonna say that it's above it right now.
Cool. I don't think there's anything else to comment on about the album art. It's still nice that we got like to see what Suzu looks like directly.
I want to see what Mori looks like.
Yeah, that's about it, Victoria. That's about all we got to say. So, next time, we are doing, do you remember? I assume you don't.
No.
The next AIOC episode is BTV Idolatry. And did we decide on BTV Temptation?
Sure.
To do with it? And then we should also do predictions for album 68, probably.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So we'll do those things next time. Until then, thank you for joining us on our side of the YouTube. I've been Devin Francis, also known as Leonard Meltzner.
And I am at 1%.
Do you think, Victoria, that I should change
Dude, I'm at 1%.
Why didn't you plug it in? I thought that's why you went over there.
No.
Okay.
Okay, hurry. Say what you're saying.
Never mind.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye.